What's good, everybody? It's only been a few days since our final regular season game, and our boy Mark Davis, he's kind of hit the ground running. He's got a bunch of GM candidates lined up, and I want to kind of go over those, get you guys' feedback, so get ready in the comments section. And a name that I haven't seen being tied to us, but I'd like to see Mark Davis possibly bring him in and hold an interview. And I'll tell you why. Now, before I get into it, I appreciate everybody that participated in my last giveaway. And so I did pick the winners. So Larry Fleming, Christina Gill, Billy J. If you guys are out there, please email me at realraider805@gmail.com so I can give you the instructions to redeem your giveaway. And your guys' names are on the ticker down below. So if you are my giveaway winner, please email me as soon as possible. And just a reminder, I'll be doing my next giveaway when I hit 2,500 subscribers. So please like this video, subscribe, turn on those notifications so you're involved in all my future giveaways, because that's my way of showing my appreciation, giving back to you what you guys give to me. So I appreciate you guys. Make sure you subscribe and ride this journey with me. Now, one thing that Mark Davis has shown is that I think he's going possibly a different route. Now, mind you, it depends on who the head coach is. I think if Harbaugh is the coach, I think he's going to get more control than we would like, or at least I would like. But I think Mark Davis has kind of shown his strategy, and I like it thus far if it continues. For example, in the past, when Mark Davis first took over this team in 2011, when Al Davis passed, one of the things that Mark Davis did was he understood that he needed to bring somebody in to take over the football side of things. So he brought in Reggie McKenzie as our GM, which initially was a great move. And he brought on Dennis Allen. That didn't work out. He let Dennis Allen go, and then he brought on Jack Del Rio. And through that stint, we went to the playoffs. Okay, so that was a GM-run team. And Mark, I believe right now, by the people that he's bringing in, I hope that he goes that same route. Depending on who the head coach is, I hope that he goes the same route as bringing in a GM that is going to hold the head coach accountable. Because I think that's where we screwed up the last two times, right? We brought in John Gruden, and we paired John Gruden with Mike Mayock, because Mike Mayock was John Gruden's boy. Mike Mayock did not hold John Gruden accountable for any mistakes that he made, the horrible first-round draft choices that were made. Then we have Josh McDaniels. We brought in Josh McDaniels and paired him with Dave Ziegler. I don't think Dave Ziegler had full control. He didn't have the ability to kind of put Josh McDaniels in check if he wanted to. Goes back to all the reportings that came out with C.J. Stroud. Dave Ziegler wanted to go hard for C.J. Stroud, but Josh McDaniels pulled the plug on that. So I want us to be a GM-run team, because very, very rarely does a head coach run team actually work. And so I like what Mark Davis is doing right now. So I'm going to kind of get into that. I'm going to get into what I look for in a GM, because I'll be dead honest with you guys. I focus solely on what our Raiders are doing. I do pay attention to the league. I pay attention to what's going on, but I don't know who the player personnel guy is for the Arizona Cardinals. I don't pay attention to every office person around the league. So first and foremost, I look for what's their experience. How many years do they have in the NFL inside the front office? So I'd love to see someone that has at least 15, 17 plus years to get that final GM job, being at the top of the tier. And so, one, experience. Two, what organization are they coming from? Does that organization have a winning culture? What kind of how many playoff appearances do they have? That's what I'm looking for. And then, does that organization draft well? Do they have a history of drafting well? Because the GM is responsible within collaborating with his head coach and coaching staff. But how does that organization that he's coming from or have experience with, do they draft well? And then, do they negotiate well? Do they bring in free agents? And the free agents that they bring in, how does that affect their salary cap? How does that affect their future going forward? One of the things that I thought was ridiculous was the Deshaun Watson contract, right? Giving him 250 million guaranteed. If you want to cripple your future on potentially cripple your future on one person, there you have it. And then how do they manage their roster? There's a lot of times where they will. One thing I will give credit to the Saints, right? Somehow the Saints are always in some crazy um, cap situation where they're 50 million over the cap, something crazy, but somehow they get themselves into the cap. Not to say that I want to look at anybody from the Saints, but it's interesting how they maneuver. They get some good free agents in, and they maneuver that cap space. So how well do they move that cap space and work with that cap space? And then what does the head coaching situation look like? Right? Are they coming from an organization where they have a history of bringing in good head coaches? For example, the Steelers. The Steelers always have a good head coach. Look at right now the Ravens. The Ravens have a great head coaching history, and so take a look at what the head coaching situation looks like, so that person knows how to evaluate who the next head coach can be. What traits does that next head coach have to have or emulate in order to potentially have success in this league? And then lastly, who do they learn behind? Who's the person at the top that they're learning from? The mentor that they can look up to as to how a good organization should be run. And so, that's kind of what I look for in a potential GM. And that's kind of the criteria that I kind of follow. Now, let me know in the comment section down below, what do you look for in a good GM? Let me know in the comment section down below. So now let's jump into the candidates that are currently reported to have a tie to our Raiders. And so first and foremost, we got Champ Kelly, right? Champ Kelly is the interim. Mark Davis is going to have an interview with him if he hasn't already, and he will have a possible chance at coming back as the GM. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that if Champ Kelly does move on and has an opportunity and does get hired with somebody else as their GM, then we actually get 2 third-round compensation picks. So that's huge. Because if some of you want to jump up and move up to get a quarterback, there's going to be a lot of capital that we need to give up to do that. And so do we need to compile some later round draft picks to potentially maybe move back up into the second if we have to give away a couple firsts and maybe a second this year? Do we need some extra third round draft picks in order to jump back up into the early rounds? So just keep that in mind. Now, let me know in the comment section, do you want to bring Champ Kelly back as our official GM for the 2024 season? Let me know in the comments down below. Now, I'll pull up the pictures of some of the candidates. The first one we will talk about is Terrence Gray. All right, Terrence Gray. Now, guys, let me know in the comments down below what you think of this guy. I'm just going to give some stats on them. So he has 22 years of experience. He had 11 years with Minnesota as a college scout. He's been with the Bills since 2017. Now, the good thing about him is he's seen the development of the current Bills roster. You got Josh Allen on there. He saw the contract negotiations with Stephon Diggs when they brought him over. So he's got decent experience within the NFL, and he's seen this development of the Buffalo Bills, ever since Josh Allen has come in. And so he's seen how to grow a roster and get to a playoff caliber roster. So I do like some of the attributes when it comes to him. Now, we also got Ed Dodds. So Ed Dodds, he's currently the assistant GM to Chris Ballard with the Colts. He's got 20 years of experience. Prior to that, he was a pro and college scout for the Seahawks. Now, he's been a hot name for the last few years. He's been in the GM talks. Whenever the GM talks come up, he's been in those conversations. We did interview him a couple years ago when we brought on Josh McDaniels. But the one big thing is he's got huge ties to Jim Harbaugh. So there's a really good chance. If Ed Dodds is the guy, there's a good chance that Jim Harbaugh is going to be coming in. Below, what do you think about Ed Dodds? If you want Jim Harbaugh, do you think we should bring in Ed Dodds? Let me know in the comments down below. And so let's go to the next one, which is Trey Brown. Trey Brown is currently the senior personnel executive with the Bengals. We did, again, interview him last time. And so he's been in the NFL for 9 years. He's been with the Bengals since 2001. So, and prior to that, he was with Philly and New England. The good is that he's seen this Bengals roster turn around. He's seen some good moves that this organization has made in order to get to the playoff caliber team that they're currently at. Now, downside, he's 38. Downside, he's 38 years old. 38 years old. He's a young guy, so I don't know if he has the experience just yet to put him and just throw him into that top of a position, especially where we are at. We need to win now. We need to win now, so we need to have somebody that has the experience and really give ourselves the best chance at success. Now, what do you think about Trey Brown? Let me know in the comments down below. If you know more about him, let me know. Next one is Adam Peters. Adam Peters currently is the assistant GM to John Lynch over at the 49ers. He's got 21 years in the league of experience, and he's been with the 49ers for 3 years. Prior to that, he was with New England and Denver. One thing I'll say about Adam Peters is that he's coming from a good front office, right? He's got John Lynch. They've drafted well. They've set up that roster really well. Did they get a little lucky, with their quarterback situation? Because really, that Trey Lance situation was a little rough. But they've made some good moves on that roster. So he's coming from a good front office. If we paired him up possibly with Antonio Pierce, I think that could be a good combo. But I do like Adam Peters. I don't think I'd be disappointed if we did bring him in. All right, guys, let me know your thoughts about Adam Peters. Do you think Adam Peters should be our next GM? Let me know what you think. Let me know if you know more about him. Let me know in the comments down below. I appreciate it. And we have one more surprise candidate that just popped up, which is Kelly Klein. She is currently the executive director of football operations over with the Broncos. She's been with the Broncos for 3 seasons. And prior to that, she was with Minnesota from 2012 to 2020, and it was in charge with various scouting roles. With all the candidates that we've seen so far, I'm not sure if she'll have a chance at the job. Now, her inexperience isn't there, unfortunately, and like I've said before with some of the candidates, her being learning from and looking up to, people like Nathaniel Hackett that trade with Russell Wilson. I want no part of that, but at the end of the day, big credit to Mark Davis, just trying to help pave the way for women in the NFL and bringing her in for an interview, helping her understand the process, learn the process, and maybe that could help her with any opportunities in the future. So let me know in the comments down below what you think about this interview and give me some feedback. And then we have Tom Telesco, former GM from the Chargers. Look, the one thing about him, he developed a great roster, but he's obviously no good at choosing head coaches, and that's where I struggle with him. And let's keep it real. He's a Charger. I don't want any Chargers, so we can keep him out of the building. But you got to give him credit. They developed a very good roster. They made some very good moves, bringing in Khalil Mack, last year to really get that pass rush going. So you can't fault them for the moves that they made when it comes to the roster, but when it comes to coaching picks, he's definitely fallen off the board. So let me know your thoughts on Tom Telesco. Let me know if you think we should bring him in. We are interviewing him, so let me know in the comments down below. But at the end, let me know what you think of all these GM candidates, the guys we're bringing in. Let me know what your thoughts are on all these guys that we're bringing in for an interview. Now, the last guy, and this is my sleeper. Okay, this is the guy that I would like to see us at least at the very least interview, and it's Joe Hortiz. So Joe Hortiz currently is with the Ravens. He's the director of player personnel. He's been with the Ravens for 25 years, which means he's worked under Ozzie Newsome, which was touted as one of the best GMs in his time and still one of the best GMs to hold a position. And he's currently working under Eric DeCosta. Now, he was able to foresee some of the moves like Patrick Queen. And look, one of the things that I love about the Ravens and the way that they work is they're willing to move from high caliber players that are kind of on the downswing of their career. And so, for example, like Marcus Peters, we all know what happened there. They let Marcus Peters go, and what did we do? We swooped him up thinking he's going to be a lockdown corner, and he failed miserably. And he's also been able to see the contract negotiations with Lamar Jackson. That was a huge contract that they had to negotiate, and he saw those. He saw the inner workings of that. So I do like the experience side from him. And at the end of the day, he's been a candidate whenever the GM talks come up. He's also been a big name that kind of swirls around, and so he was the last time that we were looking for a GM. His name was swirling around. I don't think we ever brought him in for an actual interview, but his name was there. And look, he's seen 2 Super Bowl winning teams. He saw the Super Bowl winning team when the Ravens won the Super Bowl in 2000. He was with them when they won in, I believe it was 2012. So he's seen how a Super Bowl team is put together, and he's seen how you pick a head coach. You got John Harbaugh over there that's been there for a long time, and they consistently have a competitive team. So he's seen how that is supposed to be developed and can be developed. So that's kind of my takes on the GMs, guys. Let me know what your thoughts on all the GMs that I broke down, because again, I just wanted to give you who we're bringing in. I don't claim to know exactly who they are, but based on what I look for in a GM, I look at what the guys that we're bringing in and what is their experience, what type of front office are they coming from. So, and then I got Joe Ortiz as my sleeper. So let me know your thoughts, guys. Get in those comment sections. Give me some feedback, and make sure you guys like, subscribe, turn on those notifications, ride this journey with me through the entire off season and going into the 2024 season. So appreciate you guys. I'll see you guys in the next video. I'm out.